Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayante Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Nashti. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, answers by citing the Lord's version, text number 18. Tad darshana labha pariplutantaro rishyatanu prema brashru lochna namana padambujasya vishwasrit yat param hamsena patadi gamyate. Lord Brahma, thus seeing the personality of Godhead in his fullness, was overwhelmed with joy within his heart, and thus in full transcendental love and ecstasy. His eyes filled with tears of love, he thus bowed down before the Lord. That is a way of the highest perfection for the living being, Paramhans. This we did, right? Day before yesterday. Or what? I don't remember. Anyway, in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that this great literature is meant for the Paramhamsas. Parmo nirmat saranam satam. That is, the Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for persons completely free from malice. In the conditioned life, the malicious life begins from the top, namely bearing malice against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Personality of Godhead is an established fact in all the revealed scriptures, and in Bhagavad Gita, the personal feature of the Supreme Lord is especially mentioned. So much so that the last portion of the great literature has emphatically stressed that one should surrender unto the Personality of Godhead to be saved from the miseries of life. So Lord Brahma, being a pure devotee of the Lord, he was overwhelmed with joy because Krishna, being pleased by his devotion service, Krishna gave him his darshan of his dham, darshan of his associates, and his own personal darshan. So Brahmaji was so happy in his heart, and his eyes filled with tears of love. Means he was overwhelmed. He was just couldn't control his ecstasies, and then he bowed down. So that is a Paramhamsa. Unfortunate. What Prabhupada says, Bhagavatam is meant for persons completely free from malice. Malice means the desires in the heart except serving the Supreme Lord. So those are all complete malice. Means those are the dirty things in our heart. In the conditioned life, the malicious life begins from the top, namely bearing malice against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Means we don't want to serve him. We are envious of him. And then it goes down to being envious of everybody else. The Personality of Godhead is an established fact in all the revealed scriptures, and in the Bhagavad Gita, the personal feature of the Lord is especially mentioned. So much so that the last portion of the great literature has emphatically stressed that one should surrender. When Krishna himself says, Sarva Dharman Parityajam Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Surrender unto Personality of Godhead to be saved from the miseries of life. So it's all personality. Krishna is a person. But those who are envious of him, they want to kill his personality. They don't want to say God is a person, because otherwise they have to surrender to him. Unfortunately, persons with impious backgrounds do not believe in the Personality of Godhead. And everyone wants to become God himself without any qualification. Why they do not believe in the personality? Because if there is a person and person says, surrender unto me, that means I have to take an inferior position. But if there is no person, then I can also become God. If there's a person God, I cannot become God in front of him. But if there is no person, if it's all light, I can at least become God in this lifetime and let me enjoy. That's the whole idea. So this is the ultimate malice, ultimate that impurification that we have. This malicious nature in the conditioned soul continues even up to the stage when a person wants to be one with the Lord. And thus, even the greatest of the empiric philosophers, speculating on becoming one with the Supreme Lord, cannot become a Paramhansa because a malicious mind is there. So, Paramhansa means, of course, Prabhupada says, Paramhansa stage of life can be attained only by those who are fixed in the practice of Bhakti Yoga. But Paramhansa, so Hansa means one who can separate milk from water. Even if it's a mixture of milk and water, they can take milk and leave water. So Paramhansa means the supreme Hansa is one who can take bhakti out of all the activities of the material world. He goes for the essence. He can mix with people, he can see so many things, but he can take bhakti, he can go for the essence even in everything. That is Paramhansa, because in a mixture of milk and water, only milk is of any value. So Paramhansa means a person who takes bhakti, because bhakti is the only thing that has any value. This Bhakti Yoga begins if a person has a firm conviction that simply discharging devotion service to the Lord simply discharging devotion service to the Lord in full transcendental love can elevate him to the highest perfectional stage of life. Brahmaji believed in this art of Bhakti Yoga. He believed in the instruction of the Lord to execute tapa, and he discharged the function with great penance and thus achieved the great success of seeing the Vaikuntha lokas and the Lord also by personal experience. So he heard this word or sound, tapa, and he performed tapasya, penance. And great penance for 1,000 celestial years. So whatever pleases the Lord, if we are ready, if we are convinced that we can do it and we will do it and we do it, that pleases the Lord. It's not like Krishna likes to put his devotees in some kind of trouble or let them go through some austerity, then only he reveals himself. Because he does that because it is good for us, because it purifies our heart. It takes away all these dirty ideas from our heart to be that we want to be God himself. So this is what sacrifices or the purpose of austerities is. So of course, for Brahmaji, the idea was to do tapasya. For us, Mahaprabhu has made it very simple. Chant the holy names. Prabhupada has made it even simpler. Chant only 16 rounds. You cannot chant 64, chant 16 rounds. So this is the activity, Bhakti Yoga, that will please Prabhupada and that will please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And by Mahaprabhu's mercy, we can also get darshan of Vaikuntha Lokas, Vaikuntha Vasis, just like Brahmaji had. And thus achieve the great success of seeing the Vaikuntha Lokas and the Lord also by personal experience. No one can reach the abode of the Supreme Lord by any mechanical means of the mind or machine. But one can reach the abode of the Vaikuntha Lokas simply by following the process of Bhakti Yoga. Because the Lord can be realized only through the Bhakti Yoga process. So only by Bhakti Yoga one can have the access, one can reach the abode of the Vaikuntha Lokas. Why? Because by Dhyana Yoga, of course, by Dhyana Yoga also one can reach Vaikuntha Loka, but first of all, it's very difficult, and secondly, one can get distracted by getting all the Ashtasiddhis. And Jnana Yoga only takes one to Brahm Jyoti. So this Dhyana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, it's also a part of yoga, it's perfect. But one has to do it very, very properly. But even in that uh, Ashtanga Yoga, one can get distracted by the Ashtasiddhis, one, and secondly, he relies on his own strength of sitting in different postures and meditating on the Lord. And there are chances of getting distracted. But there are many devotees in the past, like Brahmaji also performed that Ashtanga Yoga, and he saw Supreme Lord face to face, or he got at least the realizations. But again, that process was for Satyuga. Kali Yuga processes of chanting of the holy name. Lord Brahmaji was actually sitting on his lotus seat, and from there, by executing the process of Bhakti Yoga in great seriousness, he could see the Vaikuntha Lokas with all variegatedness, as well as the Lord in person and his associates. So, just by sitting on his lotus seat and performing his penances, from there only he could see everything, all the Vaikuntha Lokas, all the Vaikuntha Lokas with all variegatedness, with all the variety, as well as the Lord in person and his associates. So this is how powerful Bhakti Yoga is. Now Prabhupada says, following in the footsteps of Lord Brahma, any person, even up to this day, can attain the same perfection by following the path of the Paramhansa, as recommended herein. Lord Chaitanya also approved of this method of self-realization for men in this age. One should first, with all conviction, believe in the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, and without making efforts to realize him by speculative philosophy, one should prefer to hear about him from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and later from the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. One should hear such discourses from a person Bhagavatam and not from the professional men or from the karmi, jnani or yogi. Yogi means Hat Yogi. That is the secret of learning the science. So here, for this day and age, Prabhupada is writing that one should hear about Krishna from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. And that too one should hear from a realized person, realized devotee, from a person Bhagavatam. One does not need to be in the renounced order of life. He can remain in his present condition of life. But he must search out the association of a bona fide devotee of the Lord and hear from him the transcendental message of the Lord with faith and conviction. So one can remain in his householder life or whatever condition of life one is in. It's not like, it's nowhere it is said that only sannyasis can attain Krishna or Krishna Loka. Anybody can. Anybody who's performing bhakti, he can. But he must search out the association of a bona fide devotee of the Lord. So this search, at least for ISKCON devotees, it ends with Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is definitely a bona fide devotee. So when we read his books, when we read his purports, and when we or listen to his lectures, so we are associating with Prabhupada. And one should search out other bona fide devotees also. But when we hear or read Prabhupada's purports, it's like directly associating with Prabhupada. and hear from him the transcendental message of the Lord with faith and conviction. That is the path of the Paramhansa recommended herein. Amongst various holy names of the Lord, he is also called Ajita, or one who can never be conquered by anyone else. So among various holy names of the Lord, he is also called Ajita. So that's one of the names of Krishna. Yet he can be conquered by the Paramhansa path, as practically realized and shown by the great spiritual master, Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma has personally recommended this Paramhansa Pantha in his own words as follows. So he is Ajita, it means nobody can conquer him, but still he is conquered. He is won over by the love of his devotees. That is one of the beautiful qualities of Krishna. And Brahmaji has himself said in Shloka and after, in 10th canto, 14th chapter, after Brahmaji stole cowherd boys and the calves, and when he returned them, understanding Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he narrated beautiful prayers, and one of the prayers was this. Lord Brahma said, "O my Lord Krishna, a devotee who abandons the path of empiric philosophical speculation, aimed at merging in the existence of the Supreme, and engages himself in hearing your glories and activities from a bona fide sadhu or saint, and who lives an honest life in the occupational engagement of his social life, can conquer your sympathy and mercy even though you are Ajita or unconquerable." So that is the path of Paramhansas, which is personally followed by Brahma, Lord Brahma, and later recommended by him for attaining perfect success in life. So Brahmaji is saying, one who has abandoned all other paths, jnana, karma, yoga, etc., and then engages himself in hearing your glories and activities from a bona fide sadhu or saint. Sthane sthita shuddhigatam tanuvana manobhir. So just by doing that, and lives an honest life in the occupational engagement of his social life, and lives an honest life in his varnashram dharma. That's all. Can conquer your sympathy and mercy even though you are ajita or unconquerable. So that is a perfect way of getting the mercy of Krishna. And by mercy of Krishna, one can achieve perfection without doubt. All one has to do is remain in his status of life, whatever he has chosen, and just constantly hear about the glories and activities of the Supreme Lord from a bona fide person. It's so simple. And this Brahmaji, he is actually the founder Acharya of our parampara. So listening to him and following him will definitely give us his mercy and the mercy of all the acharyas in this line. Text 19. Tam priyamanam samupasthitam kavim praja visarge nij shasanarahanam babhash ishat smit shochisha gira priya priyam pritamanah kare sparasham. And seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as a worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as he desired, and thus being much satisfied. The Lord shook hands with Brahma and slightly smiling addressed him thus. So Krishna, when he saw Brahmaji, he did this tapasya and as bhakti yoga, and then Krishna gave him his darshan. So Krishna, he thought now he is worthy to create living beings and to do rest of the creation. It means now he is qualified to do the service. So this was Brahmaji's service. Everybody's service is different. Not that everybody has to do the creation, just like Brahmaji. the Lord shook hands with Brahma. So now this shaking of hands is not like how we shake hands when we meet somebody. It's like Lord personally just held on to both of the hands of Brahmaji. Like the Brahmaji was standing like this. The Lord personally grabbed both of his hands, and then he addressed us. The creation of the material world is not blind or accidental. Living entities, forever conditioned, Anitya Baddha, are thus given a chance for liberation under the guidance of his own representative like Brahma. The Lord instructs Brahma in Vedic knowledge in order to diffuse this knowledge to the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls are forgetful souls in their relationship with the Lord, and thus a period of creation and the process of dissemination of Vedic knowledge are necessary activities of the Lord. Lord Brahma has a great responsibility in delivering the conditioned souls, and thus he is very dear to the Lord. So all the devotees of the Lord, there's only one responsibility they have. In different capacities, they can have different other responsibilities to help Krishna in his mission. But ultimately, they all have one responsibility: how to deliver the conditioned souls in this universe, in the material universe. Brahmaji does his creation, Shivji does his destruction to help the Lord in this mission only. That's it. Brahma also does his duty very perfectly, not only by generating the living entities, but also by spreading his party for reclaiming the fallen souls. The party is called the Brahma Sampradaya, and any member of this party to date is naturally engaged in reclaiming the fallen souls back to God and back home. The Lord is very much anxious to get back his parts and parcels, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. No one is more dear than one who takes the task of reclaiming the fallen souls back to God. So this is how much Krishna loves all of us. He comes himself, he sends his devotees, he lets Brahmaji do the creation, Shivji do the destruction, and the devotees do other activities. He sends the scriptures for us to read and to understand our position and the position in the spiritual world of the ever liberated souls there, and to get a desire to go back to God, and to develop a really deep desire, really conviction, then it goes further on and on and on. That's the whole purpose of creation. The purpose of creation is not for Brahmaji to show off that, see, I can do so much of creation, 8,400,000 species of life I can create. I can create 14 planetary systems with different atmosphere, different conditions on every planet. This is not what his purpose is. And he knows he is doing his creation by the mercy of Krishna, by the knowledge, by the strength, by the power given by Krishna, and the real purpose of creation. He knows that. So we have to understand, if Krishna gives us any power to do any service for him, any capability he gives to do any service for him, first of all, we have to understand it's all by mercy of Krishna. Mercy could be flowing through his devotees. And the capability also comes from Krishna. So we don't forget who we are and how we got these powers. And still we continue to do his service, to do the service. And the main service is to reclaim the conditioned souls and take them back home. And take them at least on the path of going back home, back to God. There are many renegades from the Brahma Sampradaya whose only business is to make men more forgetful of the Lord, and thus entangle them more and more in material existence. Such persons are never dear to the Lord, and the Lord sends them deeper into the darkest region of matter, so that such envious demons may not be able to know the Supreme Lord. Anyone, however, preaching the mission of the Lord in the line of the Brahma Sampradaya is always dear to the Lord, and the Lord, being satisfied with such a preacher of the authorized bhakti cult shakes hands with him in great satisfaction. Means Krishna himself keeps that devotee who's preaching the message of the Lord in his own hand. Means he grabs hold of him, that preacher. And that preacher is very, very dear to him. So all we have to do is make our life perfect and help others to make their lives perfect. Preaching, as I have said earlier also, preaching doesn't mean sitting down and giving big, big lectures on scriptures. Preaching also means by our behavior, by our dealing with others, we preach. By cooking nice bhoga for Krishna and feeding others, that's also preaching. By keeping the temple clean or keeping our house very nice and clean, where our temple of the deities is there, that's also preaching. Book distribution, prasadam distribution, obviously that's also preaching. So there are so many ways of preaching. Preaching means to make people come and appreciate Krishna, let them get attracted towards Krishna. That's all. Let them glorify Krishna, or at least appreciate the glories of Krishna. That's all preaching. So when we do that, that's the best service for Krishna. Anyway, I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. So questions, we'll stop here. All have a wonderful day. Hare